Alright, so I have been cleaning up my room quite heavily, and I've also been rearranging the room a bit, so I'm not fully finished. You'll have to bear with any uncleanliness that is still about in the room. But as you can see, I have fully rearranged my bookshelf. So I thought it might be a good chance to just take a tour of the bookshelf and go through it and just show you guys what I have, because I want to show off a little bit, and also I think there's people that might just be genuinely curious as to what I happen to have. So I think I'll start over here. First I'll get a little bit of shot of my cat, who is enjoying her lovely dinner. So that's wonderful. But I think I'll start up here, if she doesn't mind too much. Okay. Most of this shelf, I'll just start with like a general overview of it. Most of this is philosophy specifically, or theory. And over here we have more fiction, biographical stuff, or other non-fiction that's not specifically philosophy or theory, but there's a little bit of crossover. Obviously, we will get there. But that's the main kind of branching point, is that this is specifically for like philosophy and theory, and this one is for everything else. But obviously there are exceptions. But we'll start up here. So this is the Norton Anthology of Theory and Criticism. This is a really cool book. First of all, it's absolutely huge. I mean, it's a really good anthology. You can buy these brand new for like $100. I found this copy used for like $10, and it's pretty much just as good quality as anything. I mean, like, obviously it's not perfect. Like, you know, okay, there's somebody signed their name in it. But, I mean, like, there's like some circling in it, some marks and stuff. But, I mean, just overall, like, it's very good quality. So I don't really feel cheated at all, because $10 for a book that costs $100 new, and yeah, it's awesome. These are my not quite complete works collection. Obviously I have complete works of Plato. I've had that for a long time. I got this, I think I was still in high school when I got this. Wasn't I? No, I think it might have been 2020. This might have been a COVID purchase. This one is interesting. The Basic Works of Aristotle. It's not a complete works, but it's got most of everything you would care about. This is actually the exact same book as one of the ones I have over here, which is in the dark void here. So I'll bring it up. It's the same book. They're the same publisher. This is a paperback, and obviously, this is a hardcover copy. It's actually in a nice, what do you call this? Like a box. I don't know what the box is called. The word escapes me right now. But yeah, it's the exact same book. They have the exact same translation of the exact same works in the exact same order with the exact same page numbers. But this is a very beautiful hardcover copy, like cloth bound, and it feels really good in the hands, and this is kind of a cheaper paperback copy. This again is another book I bought used, and I got it like for like $10. I think $15 or something, and it's like really good quality. Spinoza Complete Works. I really love Spinoza, one of my favorite, obviously, philosophers of all time. Just incredibly interesting, his works. I've only read the Ethics. I started reading, what is it, the Tractatus Theologico-Politicus? Is that what it's called? But I didn't really get very far into that. It's been a while since I've picked this up. We've got the Heraclitus fragments. Love Heraclitus, my favorite pre-Socratic philosopher. We've got St. Augustine, City of God and Confessions, as well as this one, Free Choice of the Will. Descartes. I've got a couple of Descartes books, but really everything is covered in this one. This is Discourse on Method and Meditations. This is also the Meditations. That's, no, the middle one here. That's also the Meditations, but this one has the Discourse on Method too. This is Leibniz, Discourse on Metaphysics and Other Essays. I think the Monadology is in there, among some other things. I was never a huge fan of Leibniz, but, you know, it's what it is. Rousseau. Some nice Rousseau. And now we come into, like, my first, first philosopher I'm, like, properly obsessed with, as Kant. So the Logic. This is a really cool volume. I think, like, most of it, like, half of it is, a translator's, preface, which is really funny. Then I have this beautiful, 3-volume set from Hackett of the Werner S. Pluhar translations of the Critique of Pure Reason, Practical Reason, and Judgment. I didn't actually buy these as a set. You can buy them as a set, and you probably should. It's cheapest that way, but I bought these one at a time. Don't be like me. I also have the Prolegomena. I have Groundwork in the Metaphysics of Morals, Religion Within the Bounds of Bare Reason, which is kind of Kant's, obviously, his religion book. I haven't read this yet, but I've read all of the Critique of Pure Reason. I've read about half of the Critique of Practical Reason, and I've read bits and pieces of the Judgment. I've read the entire Prolegomena, Groundwork. I've read that. So, you know, I haven't read the Logic yet, though. I don't actually know what this is going to be, really. I think it's, like, lectures that he gave. But I bought it because it was, like, $6, and hearing Kant talk about logic is probably incredibly interesting. Some of the other German idealists, obviously Fichte, we have Science of Knowledge. I think this is the standard, pretty much, translation. The Heath and Lax translation of the Wissenschaftslehre. Schelling's System of Transcendental Idealism. And, of course, the Freedom Essay. Classic. And then we get into my personal greatest of all time, my GOAT, Hegel. We have the early theological writings. It has a really nice introduction by, his name's Richard Kroner. And it's like a 60-page introduction which goes over Hegel's, like, development of his philosophical thought. It's really interesting, really well written. Definitely recommend that. But it's not why I bought it, obviously. It's not for the introduction, but it's a really good introduction. Phenomenology of Spirit. This is my favorite translation that I've looked through. It's the Michael Inwood translation, or it's German, so Michael Inwood, I guess. I don't know. It's Oxford translation. There's been a number of 21st century translations of Hegel's Phenomenology. Oxford did one. This one with Inwood. Cambridge did one with Terry Pinkard, and some other publisher, I think it's Notre Dame Press, did one with Peter Fuss and John Dobbins. But those are all, like, new 21st century, cool, interesting, recent translations of the Phenomenology. I only have this one. I have another translation from the 20th century. Speaking of that Cambridge series, I have a couple of those. I don't have a Phenomenology from the Cambridge series, but this is the Science of Logic and the Encyclopedia Logic from Cambridge's series. Different translators on those, but these are 21st century translations, and they're very good. Also from Cambridge, this is an earlier 21st century translation of Philosophy of Right. Down to the second level here, I have a bunch of stuff that, you know, it maybe isn't the greatest pull. Penguin Classics edition of Spinoza's Ethics. This is what I initially read before I got the complete works. Then there's this Spinoza reader, which I specifically bought because I thought it was because I had seen it recommended as one of the best translations, like better than the one that's up here. I'm kind of disappointed with the book though, because there's some missing pages inside, and you can see the entire front cover is missing, and so they've like printed out a grayscale copy of the front cover and then stuck it on there. It's shitty as hell. I don't know why they did that. This was sold to me for $7, I think, something like that. So I'm not too broken up about it, but it was said it was in good condition, and I don't think you can call anything in good condition if it's missing pages inside and it's missing the whole front cover. I think that was a little bit misrepresented, but anyway, I'm a little peeved about that, but it's not a huge problem. I also have the Penguin Classics edition of the Critique of Pure Reason, and this other translation of the Critique of Pure Reason, which is the Geyer Wood translation, which is on Cambridge. I think this one is more so the academic standard these days, as opposed to the Pluhar. Obviously, the upshot to the Pluhar is that if you read all three of these, it's the same translator, so all the key concepts are going to be translated with the same word, like, you know, all throughout, whereas down here there might be differences in that. I can't name any off the top of my head, but you get the certainty of knowing. I also just like the formatting of how they lay stuff out in here. It's a little bit more confusing in here. Well, it's kind of House of Leaves-esque up here, but you get to see a lot more side-by-side comparisons of the similar things. And this is Cambridge's version of the Critique of Practical Reason. So I got that as well. Here's the other Hegel Phenomenology of Spirit. And I was talking about, this is the Miller translation from the 20th century. It was the academic standard for the longest time. I think these days the Pinkard is the academic standard, with the Inwood that I have here kind of being a second place. But I have this one. This was actually the one that I read all the way through. I haven't actually read the Inwood translation all the way through. I've read pieces of it, but I read this all the way through in 2021, 22, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there I read this whole thing and really loved it. Obviously it's a very difficult work, but it's really, really good. One of my favorite books ever. The three-parter of Hegel's lectures on the history of philosophy. These are really cool as like reference books if you ever just want to go through and oh shit, I've got to get this back in one-handed. There we go. Yeah, if you want to just pull these off the shelf and look at what did Hegel say about, like, Aristotle? What did Hegel say about Wolff, or, you know, Leibniz, or whatever? And then I can just quickly pull this off and you know, what did he say about Plotinus? Like, you know, you could go through and you could just see what he said about pretty much everybody who came before him in the history of Western philosophy. And there's even some musings on Eastern philosophy in the first book, but it's limited at best. The philosophy of history, lectures on the philosophy of religion. Now we get to the Karl Marx and Engels a little bit. This is the Paris notebooks, the 1844 manuscripts. I have this Marx Engels reader, which has a bunch of the smaller works. So it's got like the Communist Manifesto. It's got most of the 18th Brumaire, I think, which is like my favorite Marx work, other than obviously the big ones. Yeah, so it's got some really good stuff in there. It's also got a lot of the political writings, like the Critique of the Gotha Program, and I think Engels is Socialism's Utopian and Scientific is in there, I think. So yeah, it's pretty excellent. It's not the greatest anthology, and there's stuff cut out where I wouldn't like there to be, but it's, you know, it's cool. We've got the Grundrisse. The Penguin Classics edition is probably the most affordable edition with a good translation of the entire unabridged Grundrisse. there are other places where you can get a run reset, but they're much shorter. And I've actually left a bit of scrap paper in there as a bookmark, funnily enough. Capital Volume 1, 2, and 3. Capital Volume 1, you can tell I've had the longest because it's kind of worn. I've had that since I was in high school. And I remember I read the whole thing when I was in high school. I had a very much drive to read back then. I still have a drive to read, obviously, but I could just devour 100 pages in a day of like theory, and it was crazy. I can't hardly do that now. But yeah, it's capital. It's unassailable. There are better translations, I think, than this, but I like this translation better than the one that's on Marxists.org. So, and haven't really looked into the newer translations all that much. So, you know, whatever. These books are very interesting. So this is a set of like anthologies, selected works of Vladimir Lenin. I got these all as one set, and yeah, these were printed in the USSR, in Moscow. So yeah, it's cool. It's, you know, it's Lenin. It's got pretty much all of his major, like, important works. You've got What Is to Be Done, Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism, State and Revolution, just a whole, you know, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's really, really important. Various letters and correspondences that are really interesting. A lot of his 1917 writings. Just very interesting stuff. This first volume, it came to me just missing the dust jacket, but the volumes 2 and 3 have the dust jacket. And they all come with, like, little bookmarks in them, too, which I love when books do that. Over here, we have some of my psychoanalysis texts. Some of this one, I haven't read this one. I don't know why I got that one instead of Interpretation of Dreams, but I did. I also have Beyond the Pleasure Principle, and, of course, Civilization and Its Discontents, with an introduction by Christopher Hitchens, oddly enough. Not who I would have picked for an introduction in Civilization and Its Discontents. But there you have it. And Jacques Lacan's Écrit, as they say in France. Everybody else would just say Écrit. This is actually in English, but the title, they didn't translate it. It just means writings. I haven't really done too much with that. The seminars are much more readable, and I don't read a ton of Lacan anyway, but the book looks really good on the shelf, so you gotta admire that. And we'll come down here. So here we have some of these seminars of Jacques Lacan I was mentioning. We've got 2, 3, 7, 10, 11, 17, and 20. Those are the ones that I have. All of 1 through 8 are translated into English. There's also translations of, I think, 16, 18, 19, 21, and 23, I think, in English. So there are some other English ones that aren't out there, but they're not all published in English. They're not all even published in French, which is funny enough. And like half of these were done in the 21st century. It's really strange. Being in Time by Heidegger. Arguably that should be before Lacan, but it's like my bookshelf is vaguely chronological, but it's not super chronological. I just thought it would be nice to put Heidegger and Sartre next to each other because, well, you know, it's Heidegger and Sartre. Frantz Fanon, Black Skin, White Masks. Phenomenal post-colonial theory. This is Hegel's Theory of the Modern State by Shlomo Avinieri. Can't wait to read that one. I've heard really good things about it. Gillian Rose, Hegel Contra Sociology. Difficult book. Very interesting book, though. Then we've got my Zizek books. So we got the one I'm currently reading through, which is Sublime Objective Ideology. It's his first book that he published in English. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to it. I read these two before I read that one, and I read parts of this one as well. But yeah, I read For They Know Not What They Do, which is his second book in English. I read this back in August. Really enjoyed it. I love this book. It's really, really good. This is the second edition, and it has like a massive foreword that he added, which just is too long. It's like 100 pages, 120 pages for a foreword. Looking Awry, probably, I think this was the first full Zizek book I ever read. And Less Than Nothing, obviously his big one from 2012, the 1,000-page one. He just wanted to write a book that was over 1,000 pages, I think. And these collaborations he did with Frank Ruda and Aglan Hamza, reading Marx and reading Hegel. Joan Kopchek's book, Read My Desire. Beautiful. Miller, Jacques-Alain Miller's Paradigms of Jouissance. I like Zupancic, writer I need to get more into. I have Ethics of the Real, Odd One In, and What is Sex. I've heard really good things about all these books. I haven't read any of them in full, so I got to get on that. Judith Butler, Gender Trouble. It's classic, obviously. I mean, yeah. Morning Sickness by Rebecca Comey, and then this one's a collaboration between Rebecca Comey and Frank Ruda called The Dash. Good one, Catherine Malibu, The Future of Hegel. Some Mari Rudy books. I have The Call of Character and The Ethics of Opting Out. Then I have Todd McGowan books. I have a bunch of Todd McGowan books, actually. I have Capitalism and Desire, Emancipation After Hegel, Universality and Identity Politics, Enjoyment, Right and Left, The Racist Fantasy, and his new Introduction to Jacques Lacan for Cambridge, which is the best introduction to Lacan I've ever read. And I've read a few. And then, of course, Alain Badiou's Being an Event, and Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism, all the way at the very end there. Now I'm going to get on the ground here so I can talk about, and it's so goddamn dark down here. Oh, my goodness. We've got Kierkegaard, I don't know how well you can see that. The Sickness Unto Death. I'm going to tip this whole thing over if I'm not careful. At a certain point, you're just going to have to trust me with what's on the bookshelf. Saussure's Course in General Linguistics. A copy of Lenin's State and Revolution that I've had since I was in high school. Obviously, that's up in the Lenin books that I have, but I have that as well. Introduction to the Reading of Hegel by Alexander Kojev. It's a cut-down version of his lectures on Hegel. Deleuze and Guattari, Anti-Oedipus. Got this Accelerationism reader. Nick Landfanged Noumena. The CCRU writings. See if I can get that on there. Yeah, cool stuff. Reza Negrestani's Cyclonopedia. And it's all the way hiding back here. I'm just going to set these down. Acute Accelerationism. So all of those books obviously relate to Accelerationism, the CCRU. All of them except for Cyclonopedia are urbanomic books as well. I think pretty much all of those were straight up recommendations from my girlfriend Roxanne. Shoutouts. I don't know if this one was. I think it was just something that I picked up because it's an urbanomic accelerationism anthology. But all the other books were directly mentioned by my girlfriend. So I got them. These are books by Michael Heinrich. Introduction to the 3 volumes of Marx's Capital and How to Read Marx's Capital. This one is more of an intro, like it says, and this one straight up goes line by line through the first few chapters of Capital and takes you through it. Now I'm going to stand back up and we're going to blast through this last bookshelf. I probably have a lot less to say about these books anyway. So we have the Iliad and the Odyssey. I picked these up, I think just because I heard they were the best translations. These are the Richmond Lattimore translations. I haven't read through all of these yet. I read the Odyssey when I was in high school. I think I was in 10th grade when we did the Odyssey. But yeah, then we have this collection, this sort of compendium of plays by Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, some of the great Greek tragedies, and then of course the complete plays of Aristophanes, the comic playwright. And then we have this wonderful book, Lives of the Eminent Philosophers by Diogenes Laertius, which has illustrations, and it's obviously an ancient text going through the lives of the philosophers. It's really, really good. I've got the Bible in King James Version and the Bible in NRSV, New Revised Standard Version. There's an updated edition of this. I don't know what all the changes are at the NRSV, the NRSV UE, it's called. But I have this, so I hope that's acceptable enough. I mean, in King James Bible as well. They both have the Apocrypha, because I don't really know what the point of owning a Bible without the Apocrypha is. Even if you don't think that they're inspired, they're at least historically interesting, and you would want them, I would imagine, but whatever. I don't get to make those decisions. Dante's Divine Comedy, a wonderful prose translation from Oxford, which has the Italian text on the other side of the page as well. Beautiful. John Milton, Paradise Lost, one of the greatest things ever written in the English language. I don't think that's up for debate. Tom Jones by Henry Fielding. Tristram Shandy. This is actually The Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith. Really enjoyed that book. Haven't read these ones all the way through yet, but I really enjoyed The Vicar of Wakefield. At first I thought it was just going to be like a stuffy morality play sort of thing, but it really surprised me, and it did some good stuff. The Expedition of Humphrey Clinker by Smollett. Moby Dick, we've got Wuthering Heights, and James Joyce, my little James Joyce collection, Dubliners, love this book. Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, haven't finished it. Ulysses, haven't read it yet, and Finnegan's Wake, also haven't read it yet. So I need to get down onto those. Down here we have my Proust In Search of Lost Time. I read bits of this, and I read like maybe a page out of Sodom and Gomorrah. I know there's like a lesbian scene in there, so I gotta get to that, obviously. But no. Yeah, huge, massive, colossal, extreme. We've got Faulkner. This is Absalom, and As I Lay Dying. I got the works of William Wordsworth, one of my favorite poets. Look how moody he looks. Yeah, House of Leaves. I mean, if you, it's the, yeah, you get it. Okay. David Foster Wallace, Oblivion. Songwriters and Songwriting, fun book. It's a bunch of songwriters being interviewed about their songwriting process. Not something that get asked a lot in interviews, so it's cool to see someone doing that. This is an interesting one. It's Revolution at the Gates. It's Vladimir Lenin's 1917 writings, a lot of them. Most of this book, though, is an afterword by Slavoj Žižek, who loves to yap. I've got the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, Douglas Adams. I really love these books. I read them, I think, when I was like in middle school. Not these exact ones. I read them as like ebook copies, but still really, really good. The Art of War, The First Philosophers, which has some fragments of the Pre-Socratics. The first Plato book I ever owned, which goes back to high school. Mentioned that one already. Some Christian books. We've got G.K. Chesterton, Orthodoxy. Love this book. And Heretics, to go with it. I haven't read this one yet. C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity. This one was actually given to me as a gift. It's a classic, so, have that. Even if I'm not a Christian and don't agree with all that, but it's great to have. Good books. And to wrap up, we just have this one down here. This is my high school diploma over here, so don't worry about that. Quantum, There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. One of my favorite tale series from the SCP Wiki got turned into a book, so I bought it. Not much to say about that. Then we have this Electric Wizard's book, which is like a history of heavy music, as it's called, which includes like heavy metal and stuff, but also more like, like noise and stuff, and that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Haven't really gone through it all the way, though. History of Jazz by Ted Gioia. It's great. These two books, I haven't really read them. I got them for a community college class I was taking, but I ended up dropping it, so yeah, that didn't get worked out. Last Night a DJ Saved My Life is one of my favorite books, if only for the fact that it has a massive list at the end of a bunch of different like nightclubs and their most played tracks. Invaluable list. It's full of bangers. The Underground is massive. Another history, sort of electronic music. Try not to block the light too much with my body. These books, the Mark Rosenfelder books, I had those before I was in high school. And they're like world-building books. So that's cool, making languages and stuff. I did a bit of that when I was a kid. Never really went all the way with it. I would like to pick it up again. Maybe I will. I don't know. Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. Classic books of childhood. I mean, I grew up with those. Really love them a lot. This isn't just a Pop-Tart box, actually. It has some of my most valuable possessions, if you can believe it. I can't believe it either. That's the same one. But, yeah, these are, I can't really replace those if I lose them. And then we've got some Blu-ray, DVDs kind of stuff over here, just to wrap up, I guess. These ones I've had since I was a kid. I got those either as gifts or... I think all of these were as gifts, actually. SpongeBob, the first 100 episodes. You might as well. And then, of course, The GOAT, Twin Peaks, and Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. And also, I just got this one, which is the Charlie the Unicorn 20th Anniversary full collection of every Charlie the Unicorn thing ever by Film Cow. And it comes with a commentary track, too, which is really cool. That's the main reason why I bought it, and also just because I wanted to support the creator, because I really like his stuff, and I wanted him to have some walking around money. Yeah, so that's my bookshelf. Just down there I have some storage. The bottom of that one is mostly just storage as well. So, I really told myself I wouldn't go over 30 minutes on this, and I seem to have failed at that, so I apologize, but I hope that this has been a most pleasant trip through my collection of books so far. So, thank you for watching. Bye.